Hello there, my name's Eric with Exclusive Tutoring San Diego, and you're listening to Smart and Lazy. Now, the premise behind this title, Smart and Lazy, you might find it kind of weird, but is due to the fact that in a lot of current education that we find across this globe, we actually have been finding that we're praising our students for the wrong things. And in doing so, it actually leads our students to believe that they can't fight through failure, that their abilities are set in stone, and that in the end, when obstacles do arise, that it's better to avoid these challenges. And what I want to point out here is the fact that we use this phrase, smart but lazy, which is a little bit incorrect. What I mean is the fact that there are actually two types of students out there. There is the smart and lazy student, and then there's actually the driven one. And if you were to look at the difference between these students, it's actually very clear cut when it comes to students and the way they perceive their own abilities. So what I want you to think about here is I'm going to give you student A, who is considered the smart and lazy student, and then there's going to be student B, who is the driven one. And I want you to tell me if you can think of which one is which, all right? So, number one, we're going to present a student, and this student has always been praised for being very, very bright, okay? And in being praised for being very bright, they've actually believed that they have naturally talented, naturally gifted abilities that other students might not have. In this case, mom and dad didn't do anything wrong. All they were doing was they were praising their child for these, the recognition of the efforts that he or she put out. In doing so, the student grows up and starts to put out effort and starts to shine among his or her peers, right? And he or she comes across a failure, an obstacle of some sort. In this case, they find that they may have actually failed more than once. It was something that they were not naturally talented at. I want you to ask yourself, what do you think the student would do? After being praised for being smart, are they going to try harder after failing the second or third time? Or are they going to pick themselves up and continue to fight through? Now, the question here is, has that student been taught drive? Because under most circumstances, that was a student A student who's been praised to be smart, but in doing so, we've actually praised him or her to actually be lazy as well. Because you see, when you're smart, you have the ability to be lazy, which is something that a lot of parents and educators are starting to realize in today's modern education system. That we have the students who are constantly being praised for being intelligent, but even they sometimes don't always end up being successful. Because a single failure or a single obstacle along the way may cause them to divert their path and no longer seek a passion that they may have had in the past that may have come very easily for them. So, on the other hand, we are starting to find that the less that we praise for fixed abilities, these innate, these naturally talented, gifted, smart, intelligent, genius type of praises, and we start to praise students for their strategies, start to praise them for their process, and start to praise them for the fact that they may have experience from before, and which they may be able to share with us now. And the most important and the key thing that I want you guys to notice and to start to recognize when it comes to your students is the way that they approach their mistakes. Do students do their very best to avoid all possible mistakes at all costs because they think they're on stage and they think that their abilities, they think that their intelligence may be questioned if they got it wrong? Or do they actually have this perception that no matter what, if they got an answer wrong, it only makes them stronger. It shows them why the answer is incorrect, and that learning at all costs is more important than being on stage. Which is it? Because The smart and lazy student constantly thinks that he or she is on stage being presented among his or her peers, and in doing so, he or she is always being evaluated constantly. And that actually leads them to dislike learning, to dislike having to be put on the spot, and actually leads to anxiety and certain behaviors that would avoid being social or showing intelligence in that sense, right? Now, on the other hand, students who embrace failure and embrace the fact that effort is always a good thing no matter what. There's no such thing as wasted effort. It's all experience. A student who views effort and failure as bad things are generally the smart and lazy students, while the ones who view effort and failure, no matter what, as good, to be learning experiences for them to grow and adapt from. Those are the students who have the drive to be successful in the end. And here's a very interesting one that they've come up with recently, and the ones that they've found in science is what happens when a student is bored. Because here's a very interesting thing: the smart and lazy student can and always will be finding things to be boring, because it's easier to say something is boring than to potentially fail at it. But boring is just an excuse. Because I'll tell you this, if you have a growth mindset, if you have drive in this world, I don't really feel that you'll ever find the things in this world to ever be boring, because there's always going to be something out there for you to go learn. Because no matter what, time and effort and even failure leads into experience which will only make you greater and better than who you were before. So when you go into your classrooms, I do want you to notice who are the students who constantly think that they're on display. Who are the students who actually embrace failure? Who are the ones who love coming across the mistakes and coming across why things are wrong? And then as well, who are the kids who are always bored? Because maybe those types of interactions, those observations, now that they've made it and they're solidified in science, and maybe through my explanations, they may have more concrete, explanations and concrete wordings that you may look for. I want you to go and see if you may be able to determine these things, and if you do want to, come back and talk to me about them. My name's Eric with Exclusive Tutoring San Diego. I will be posting this hashtag #SmartAndLazy all over the place. And I will be working on, compiling all this information into a book as well, so that we can actually start to really push this conversation in education and start to truly unlock the potential of who and what all of our students are capable of. If we can focus on resilience and focus on teaching drive instead of intelligence, I think that our students will be more set and more, and success will be more aligned with them along their paths as we continue. So again, this is Eric with Exclusive Tutoring. You can find me at eric@exclusivetutoringsd.com. Go ahead and send me an email, and obviously we can go ahead and talk. All right, have a great day, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. This is Eric signing out.